Hi, good morning. It is April 5th, I believe, 2025, and I am Kona Lisa with Lighthouse News and Notes. I have a very special guest with me today, Donna D'Angelo with the Institute of Christ Consciousness. We are exploring human and divine connections, and she has a special treat for us today. We are going to discuss the women who loved Jesus. The women's core that surrounded Jesus, that he taught. She has so much to tell us about this wonderful group of women, and without further ado, let me bring her on. Good morning, Donna.
Morning, Conan. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our April webcast. And this one is entitled Introducing the ICC Women's Corps. And today I have with me several ladies who are participating with us in this Women's Corps and will be sharing our experiences. Now, in our previous webcast, we discussed the 12 women apostles that Jesus commissioned during his human lifetime. And if you'd like to get a copy of that presentation, just email me in case you missed it. But it is up on our YouTube channel. Now, in this presentation from last month, what we discussed was the fact that Jesus did commission 12 women to be his female apostles who had equal status with the male apostles in their ministry to preach and teach and heal people in the living gospel of Jesus. And just to reiterate, the gospel of Jesus is the faith in the creator of all and loving service to humanity. And this very simple gospel forms the foundation for human life and for our social life of our planet. It is very simple because when you come from a place of love, you are letting go of self-centered thinking and operating more in a space of your welfare is as important as another person's welfare, and it tends to breed more harmonious and cooperative relationships. So if you're interested in looking at that presentation from last month, you can email me and I can direct you to where you can find it. Today, I'll be sharing the information from our ICC Women's Corps with several ladies who are working, collaborating with me to build the social fabric of healing on the planet from a personal level and a social collective level. But first, I just want to give you some background of how this came about. After I finished receiving the stories of each of the 12 women, and the book was then published into their personal stories of how Jesus changed their lives and brought them into living their true soul purpose, they came back to me and encouraged me to start a modern day women's corps to bring about the fostering of their work that they spearheaded 2,000 years ago. There has been a gap in the evolving religious or spiritual life of the planet that has, what you might say, not paid much attention to the divine feminine aspect of deity, which these women embodied from Jesus, that he was a catalyst for them. And they want to bring their message forward to this time because they know that so many people need to be healed, the planet needs to be healed, and humanity's relationship with the natural world needs to be healed. So I'm just going to pause here for a moment. And Kona, is there anything you want me to expound upon before we go into the PowerPoint presentation?
I think you've given us the background information, and in your last video, you also gave us information in the last webcast. You gave us a background on how you came to know the 12 women apostles in, we sometimes say, on the other side of the veil or in the ethereal. You know, they're not here with us in the physical, but they're here with us in the spiritual. And so
Mhm.
for anyone who's interested in that, that's also very important information that you can get from the webcast. from Donna. So make sure that you check with her about that. So that's probably the only thing, is just to remind people that you did cover that information in your previous webcast, and that's a lovely story, and how that evolved over like almost 2 decades in your life, Donna, meeting these women and hearing their stories. So yes, so if you would like me to just tell me when you're ready for the webcast. I want to remind folks too that this is Donna D'Angelo with the Institute of Christ Consciousness. Her email is Donna at Institute Christ Consciousness. If you want to reach out to her, here it is. We'll show it again. We'll have it multiple times. So that's how you reach Donna directly. All right. Somehow, Donna, we didn't get your background that has your title and all of that on for this morning. We were busy worrying about other things, so they don't see your email in the top right-hand corner like usual. So I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure everybody got that. Are you ready to look at the PowerPoint?
Yeah, let's put up the first opening slide.
Sure, here you go.
So, as I said, our ICC Women's Corps is based on the groundbreaking ministry of these magnificent 12 women who originated through Jesus commissioning them as his female apostles. And what they did was to minister to people in a way that produced feelings of love and security and validation of an individual's right to be who they are, which was extremely healing. And this is something that they want to bring forward in our modern day. So let's just go through it briefly. I'm not going to spend over long on each slide because you'll have a chance when you read or listen to watch the recording to pause this and take your time. And we also have this information up on our website, and you'll see the link at the end of the presentation. So we developed a women's corps based on the ministry of the Women's Evangelistic Corps commissioned by Jesus. And our objective is to live and share the true meaning of the living gospel of Jesus, faith in the parenthood of God, and loving service to the family of humanity. And so in our group activities, we provide training for individuals to develop their own spiritual leadership skills. We create circles of healing environments for people to receive ministry at various levels. We encourage person-to-person community outreach at assorted venues, and we also develop avenues of training over time as the Corps grows. So right now we are in the process of the development of 3 groups, and you can go to the next slide, Kona. One back. That one, yeah. So presently, what we are doing now in our group of 7 women, we have split into 3 small groups, subgroups, that are dedicated to these 3 topics: personal healing, dedicated to using various spiritual and energetic techniques to foster healing of the mind and body. And we welcome newcomers interested in participating with us to grow our natural healing abilities and potential. And this is something that we have a right to learn, to understand how, you might say, spiritual energy intersects and influences the human mind and body system. Now, there are many people who are spearheading certain energetic techniques of long distance healing for the mind and body. And we provide a group setting where we are collaborating with our unseen helpers at the higher realms of consciousness to learn the ways and how to use these beautiful loving energies of spirit to foster healing in the mind and body. So our next group is called Healing Humanity's Relationship with the Natural World, dedicated again to using very spiritual and energetic techniques to foster healing. Oops, I think I got that wrong run. Anyway, let me correct that, and I may have to Yeah, I think I'm going to have to correct that one. I'm sorry. Anyway, what that one is designed to do is, say, for example, we know we live in a world that is very polluted with so many substances that are not healthy for the mind and body. And we have not been able to use the natural resources of the natural intelligence of the world, the planet, the substances, the plant life, animal life, mineral life. We don't know how to, what you might call, access the intelligence, the wisdom of those realms of existence. And so what this group does is we work with the celestial circuitry and spiritual personalities to weave in the natural intelligence of the planet to intersect into human mind and to feed us with information that we can glean through conscious receptivity of that information and use it to create ways of communicating with the natural world, because there's so much information that will help us get back to developing certain technologies where we're not polluting the planet. We're not just dumping chemicals into the land and the sea and the air that diminishes human health. So this is a very important uh, um, level of planetary healing. So let me go back to the slide again and talk about the last group, the reformation of our social institutions. So this one is dedicated to building a peaceful society and a regenerative culture that reflects the divine ways of our universe. And so we collaborate with the angelic realms that have the, what you might call, the plan of how our social institutions evolve based on divine values of love, truth, goodness, beauty, uh, 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 the word escapes me now.
You covered them all: love, truth, goodness, and beauty.
Well, equality, justice, and fairness, those are some of the other aspects of the social foundation of, or the social fabric, the spiritual fabric of our social foundations. I'm sorry. Oh, God. All right. So anyway, let's go into the first personal healing group. And what I'm going to show you now, and you can take your time to read this. This is an excerpt from a healing group that our small group did. And I'm happy to invite Erin, who is on phone, to join us in this recount of the personal healing group experiences. So what we've been doing, and you can take your time in reading this, I wanted to show everyone how we work, how the information comes through, because we have so much potential to collaborate with our helpers. And even though we cannot see them, they function through the circuits of our consciousness. They can inlay information into our minds that will stimulate our creative thinking. So Kona, please go back to the slide so people can still continue to read it. I'd like to leave that up while we're sharing this information. And one of the things that happens is we begin with a prayer, and then we just start looking at what is coming through. They give us, the higher realms give us information to hold. And this information, so for example, session began with focus on remembrance of paradise in the body. These are the levels of perfection that we have a right to perceive. And besides going into a long discussion of how things became so distorted in our thinking, what is really important to remember is we are getting back on track with the divine design for our planet and for our personal lives. So this remembrance of paradise in the body was designed to help the body remember that it has connections to the highest levels of divinity where divine patterns exist. And so what we hold are these words, and these words come in through language, spiritual encoding, which is a different kind of a language that has color, light, sound waves, and actual, what you might call language of a higher energetic order. It's not the English language. We use the English language to hold focus, but there's a higher language that's coming in. And as it comes in, it's coming in from the divine realms, and it kind of like waves down into us and it starts to do its work. Now, we at the human end are holding the focus for these energies to come in. What is happening at the unseen level is they are weaving these energies into areas where there is memory experiences that need to be recalibrated and recoded with this higher information. So as you look over this particular slide, and then you can spend more time reading it after the recording goes out. But this is how we work, and it's very, very, very powerful work. And so, Erin, I'd like to just invite you to share some of your insights from working in this group with our other ladies.
Yes, definitely. It's been such a pleasure for me to be able to participate in these groups. I look forward to them every month because it's a very special time. I feel like it's a really good example of really the way that we're meant to work with spirit in general, co-creating with the spiritual realm. For me, it's just a perfect model of it because we're coming together in spirit. It's multiple people, all with the same intent of healing. And I've observed that spirit is just sort of seeding each of us with different pieces of the puzzle as well. So the healing energies that come in through the call, I noticed that it's like different people have different just pieces to add to the collaborative experience. And every person, every piece of information that they contribute is exactly what needs to come in at the time. And it's all being coordinated perfectly by spirit to have these energies come together that are the most healing energies that are needed at the particular time. And so it's just, to me, delightful to witness this and to participate in this because I can see it's like lighting up of the spiritual realm that gets to come through us in this beautiful collaborative experience. And it's also, gosh, it's so powerful. It's such a blessing to be on these calls because not only are we bringing these healing energies in for the planet, but every time I'm getting uplifted by the energies. I'm getting the infusions myself as well. So I'm getting the benefit personally from it in my own healing. And frequently, a lot of the things that come in are energies that I've already been working with my spirit team on. And so they're kind of getting heightened on these calls and expanded on these calls. And it's a very powerful healing that is coming in. And that's something that I do myself in a very dedicated way. And so I can really see just the transformative power of these calls. And man, if we were to magnify these, if we were to do these on a bigger level, because it's even what we're doing now, I can see such an impact, and it's a model for what we could expand upon and do more upon. And really, because we're building the new earth with this, and if more people get involved in doing this, the impact just gets bigger and bigger. So yeah, I'm very excited about the work that we do. And yeah, like I said, it's been such a blessing to be on these calls.
Thank you so much, Erin. Your feedback is so valuable. And I want to touch on a couple points that she raised that I didn't say earlier. Each person, you can go back to the slide too, Kona, that's okay.
It's people are going to get tired of looking at a slide for just a minute and need to see your beautiful face and hear your beautiful voice. So we will have plenty of time for the slide.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that Erin mentioned is that each person is contributing something of great value of their own soul experience into the group. And this is one of the techniques that our ancient sisters taught us, that each person has a piece of the healing environment that we can add that's unique. But when it's all added together synergistically, the spiritual potential of healing then not only magnifies arithmetically, but geometrically. There's a heightened sense of the energy. It's very powerful. And so these are some of the techniques that we need to remember, to relearn, because our bodies were designed to live in a state of health and natural healing, and also a state of happiness. And that's something I don't ever hear people say, that I am happy in my body. And this is something that needs to be returned to us. This is part of our divine inheritance, our natural birthright, to have these beautiful bodies that are vibrant, alive, and happy and peaceful. So these are some of the things that we're working on in the personal healing group, to provide that spiritual foundation of the divine perfect patterns for the human body and mind, so that we are living in a greater state of healthfulness and happiness. And from that point, we are more likely to feel more fulfilled as humans and can continue to develop in our true soul purposes. So that is the reason that we're doing it in this personal healing group in this way.
Thank
Okay, next
just
slide.
before you go on really quick, Donna, a thought occurred to me while you and Aaron were talking about this, and it is very profound. And people are going to be seeing this, weeks after, years after this webcast is going to be available. So it might be important to just say a few words about, if you're not necessarily connected with the Institute of Christ Consciousness, and becoming a part of the Women's Corps is not feasible for wherever you are in the world. What can people do at home with this information in order to enhance the circuits in their own lives in the world that we live in? Can you say a few things about that?
I can say a lot of things about that, but
Just a few minutes on that.
yeah, I think what most people need to remember is that we are part of a very vast divine plan. That plan has been put in place by wonderful, loving creator personalities who are intimately associated within our human consciousness system. And we can have, and we do have, direct access to them. But sometimes the interference in human chatter and static in the human mind prevents us from accessing the full breadth of information to which we have access. So one of the things that I would encourage people is to stand in that intention and awareness that you have a right to receive your divine inheritance, to return to your natural intelligence, to develop your intuitive faculties that help the human analyzing mind move into a different space of how to capture information and insight. You have the ability already in you, but unfortunately, this planet and its system of consciousness has been very polluted with energies of conflict and separation, and people feeling emotionally disconnected from love. And so all of these levels of interference can be overcome when you sit in a place of just claiming your divine inheritance. Because what that does is it says to the spirit realms, okay, now I'm ready to receive what is due me, and I'm willing to open up to that information. And then there is a download of information from the higher realms, from the indwelling spirit that exists within you, to feed you with what you need to learn, step by step, day by day, one experience at a time. And so if people were to do this to quiet the mind, and to just claim your divine inheritance and say something to the effect of, I need my divine inheritance to grow within me. I need to claim my divine birthright. I need to experience the love that is my divine birthright. That is enough to open the door for that download of love and peace to generate within the human mind that pathway that will continue to develop and lead you on that path, lead you on that journey of becoming more of who you truly are and expressing your soul purpose.
And that includes reaching out to these women, doesn't it, Donna? It's so
Yes,
remember that the Women's Corps is available still. With Jesus Ministry, they didn't stop just because they're not on the earth. We can still reach out to the Women's Corps as well.
yes, and you can do that. All you have to do is just kind of hold that intention. Hey, I'd like to get to know you. Please step forward. And I just heard from an individual recently who felt like she was getting contacted from our ancient sister Rachel, and she opened to her and she could feel her presence. And so just because we can't see them or we're not physically present doesn't mean the energetic connections aren't there. They are there. It's just up to us to open that door and to trust that we have access to them. And the more you quiet your mind and let your body relax, then that door becomes wider, and then the reception of that spiritual energy and information has a greater chance to communicate into your consciousness.
And another really important point, I think, Donna, that this is really key is, there is a very fine line between what you do in communicating with them and not deifying them, as some people do with the saints of the past. We're literally creating a relationship with people who want to assist us, but we're not deifying them. We're not lifting them up. We're not putting them up on a pedestal. We're not turning them into saints, let's say. Could you just say a few words about that? Because a lot of people are going to have questions about the difference of the past between that and then what we're experiencing today.
Yeah, as we become more comfortable in accepting the fact that we have this divine spiritual help in the upper realms, it will be helpful to kind of keep in mind that we are all equal in the eyes of our creator parents, in the eyes of God. And that even though they're at a higher dimensional level, they are not more or less worthy than who we are. It's just that they are here to help us. And I think in some traditions, there is a tendency to elevate people, to put them in the place of our creator instead of looking at them as equal brothers and sisters who've had perhaps a little bit more life experience and a little bit more wisdom to share with us. But we are all on the same playing field of working together, collaborating together to build a higher planetary culture. And what we do at the ICC is to always tell our members that the object of worship is our creator, and that we are all brothers and sisters in this wonderful family of love. We are all equal in the eyes of our creator. And that in some religious traditions, they try to encourage people to go to other individuals, or for example, you use the term saints as the intermediary between us and our creator. And we don't need that. We have a direct connection to our creator. And so we can use and collaborate with our helpers at all different levels on an equal playing field. So I hope that answer satisfies a bit.
I think that is a lovely explanation. I know that it can be confusing when we're talking about channeling and communicating and transmitting from with the celestials. We say celestials or the divine on the other side of the veil. So I just wanted to make clear for our audience who might be seeing this at some point in the future. I know our audience today is pretty familiar with your work, and that might not be a question for them, but it might be in the future. So we're ready to go to back to your PowerPoint if you'd like.
Yes, so this one is healing humanity's relationship with the natural world. Now, as I mentioned, this particular group is very important because we have so abused our beautiful planet. We have polluted the land, sea, the air in so many ways. Our bodies have lost a lot of the natural integrity with our planet's energetic system and structure. And so I'll give you time to just peruse this important excerpt. And you can just, again, read it when you get the PowerPoint, take your time with it. The significance of this group, not only in healing the human relationship with the planet, but helping the planet regain a lot of the energetic disconnection that was fostered on the planet so many thousand years ago, because we, unfortunately, as a planet, deviated from the divine plan of evolution. And there was a wide variety of circuitry, physical circuitry, spiritual circuitry that was disconnected from our world. And now that is being re-established on the planet. And so in this group, what we are doing is holding space with the celestial helpers to restore the circuitry, to clear out the erroneous information, language, and coding in existing planetary circuitry so that our humanity can begin to pick up on the signals of how to use the natural resources of the planet in a divinely inspired way. And once we get into this deeper level, what we're going to be doing is generating technologies based on our natural intelligence, not on artificial intelligence, but the natural intelligence that our Creator has given us to understand the laws of physics from the universe perspective, not from the human perspective or the planetary perspective, but from the universe perspective, where there's a completely different way of relating to the planet and getting back to the planet's original divine plan and natural way of life. And in this one, I invite our collaborator, Bonnie, to come forward. She has been working in this group with me and a few other people. And so I'd love for her to share her perspective and experience in this particular group.
Bonnie had to go out and come back in, but Bonnie, I sent a message to unmute, so you're welcome to join us.
Yes, yes. I'm going to keep my video off though, because my internet is still unstable.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
No worries.
Yeah. Yeah, so that'll help it a little bit. Unfortunately, Donna, I didn't quite hear everything you had mentioned because I had to go out and come back in. But for me, knowing that healing the earth and healing humanity's relationship with the earth and all of its life forms has it's my sole purpose. It has been a lifelong journey for me. So being involved with the Women's Corps at this level, where we can, as Erin mentioned, you know, we're working with very high-level divine beings and celestial beings, helping to bring in the corrections and the energies that are necessary, not just to restore our relationship with the planet so that we all live as kin, so that the humans and the animals and the plants and the mineral and crystal world all live as kin. We're all brothers and sisters because we all come from the Creator. We all have a level of intelligence and consciousness about us, although what we experience as intelligence and describe as intelligence and consciousness in humans is different than how the plants experience it, and is different than how the animals experience it. I like to think of it all as, we all have our own unique patterns of this etheric template that the creator God has given us. But yet we're all unique in that respect. So working with this has just been wonderful. And it also has been eye-opening for me in the sense that the amount of corruption done to this planet, not just in severing humans from their relationship of with the rest of the living world here, but the corruption to the circuitry in the planet itself, the corruption to the plant kingdom circuitry, to the animal kingdom circuitry, to the mineral and crystal and rock kingdom circuitry has just been so devastating that those kingdoms have not been able to develop and evolve like we have. They still have intelligence and consciousness in a sense. So do we. But like humanity, we have all been affected so desperately, so deeply by the rebellion that happened so very long ago. A good portion of the work that we do in this particular sect of the Women's Corps is also to help restore that garden culture that Adam and Eve, who appeared here so many, thousands of years ago, they tried to establish that. And so part of our work is to get us back to that, where humanity is no longer feeling dominance or dominion over nature, but we work one and one side by side with nature to establish a planet of a living environment for all of life forms. It has been, like I said, a lifelong dream, and to be able to do this now in this way, I just feel that I'm doing the work I'm being called to do, that I have been called to do. And it's very, very, it's a blessing. It's very rewarding. And I'm seeing this, I live in Minnesota, a small house kind of in a woodlands area. And when I moved here and bought this place, I was guided by Spirit to say, to create the sanctuary for all life on your property. And I'm noticing a difference in the ley lines and the energetic circuitries, the plants, the animals, in how we are all healing through the work that's being done, but also reestablishing that reciprocal or kinship relationship with each other. The animals here, the deer, the fox, then all that, my birds, they're not afraid of me. I go out there and they're there with me. And the plants are coming back in a way that is just the natural way that what this land wants to have grown here, not what I think it should be grown, but what, in fact, I'll give an example. The last couple of years, I have been planting things that I wanted to grow. They're not growing. And I finally realized I have to not assert my will over this land, but to allow the land to tell me what it wants. And that is how I have been living my life. And that is, and it's become a whole new way of life, of how I live my life in this, in this web of life. We are all part of the web of life. So many of our indigenous and native cultures understood this so much better than what we who come from European roots and that have understood or grew up with and that. I'm reminded of Edward Hicks, who was a Quaker minister, but also a famous painter. He's the one that painted The Peaceable Kingdom. And actually, he painted 62 versions of it. And that he got it. He understood that that our Creator wants us to be all living in this sense of a peaceable kingdom, not to have predatory plants or animals or even human beings as being predatory, but that we all live together and respect each other as life forms that have come from the Creator. And I think that's all I will say. That's probably more than enough.
Bonnie, before you leave and before Donna comes back on, and maybe
Yeah.
Donna will want to talk about this too. I want to recap two things that I heard in here. And one is what you're emphasizing in this natural world is it's inclusive. The healing of the planet is inclusive from everything from the smallest grain of sand to the atmosphere above us. And the second thing you just dropped in a very key point is you said something about Adam and Eve thousands of years ago. And, the concept of Adam and Eve being on our planet, to some people is myth and to some people is religious. And maybe either you or Donna will give us just a little brief snippet about what that garden culture was supposed to be like when they inhabited the planet. Which one of you would like to take that away, Donna?
I'm gonna take that over because Bonnie kind of gave a spoiler alert, because that's what we're going to be talking about in our next April webcast. But Bonnie, if you have any other comment to say, and I'll make a little bit more comment about Adam and Eve in a moment. But Bonnie, is there anything else you want to add?
Um, no, I think just actually two other things, just two quick things, that we're really in this group trying to cultivate the and reestablish that the natural wisdom that the plant and the animal and the mineral world already have. And then the other thing would be I do remember in one of our sessions that there was a connection back to Jesus, that we brought in Jesus's memory circuit into the planet and his deep love of nature, and how when he wanted to go commune alone with his Father, where did he go? He didn't go to the temples or the synagogues or anything like that. He went into into nature, into the hills, into, over to the rivers or the streams. That is where we can learn how to best live our lives and connect with our Creator. The plants will teach us, as my grandfather used to tell me, the plants will teach you how to live life. So
Thank you so much for that
okay, Donna.
summary, Bonnie. That was just beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Donna, I'm going to bring you back, and I think you probably want to go to the next PowerPoint. Yeah?
Just one couple of comments. Thank
Sure.
you, Bonnie. That very, very insightful. And I hope everyone gets a lot of information from that. In this presentation, we're briefly touching on some of the important points that we're making in these small groups. But I do want to say that Bonnie's property is becoming what you might call a little microcosmic pattern that can be replicated into the planet of how we can communicate better with the natural world and all of its intelligences. And if this is something that is near and dear to your heart, you only have to ask by opening that door, what do I need to learn? What do you want to teach me? You can sit with a plant or an animal and just open up, because your spirit from the creator has all that information and can help you make those connections to the natural world. So it's something to explore and experiment. It's just, there's no one right way to do it. And we are here to kind of play and create together. So I encourage people to just experiment. And in our next presentation, we will be talking about who Adam and Eve were from the perspective of the Urantia book, because at the ICC, that is what we might call our foundational text of information that provides a much larger breadth of understanding of who we are in a relationship to all life itself. And the story of Adam and Eve is fascinating. And then we'll be going into not only their story, but in another webcast, what that garden culture is and how we are in the process of developing that in our small groups.
And Donna,
Okay, so now let's
is that
go
the next?
to the last group.
Sure, Donna, is that one on the Adam and Eve, our very next webcast?
Yeah, that'll be, yeah, I haven't made the announcement about that yet, but yeah, we'll be
Okay, so stay
talking.
tuned, folks. You'll be coming back. All right, we'll go back to the PowerPoint.
Okay. So the last one is the reformation of our social institutions. And then see, we've got Adam and Eve mentioned in here because they are very deeply involved. And in this one, I'd like to just share a few thoughts before we bring Teresa and Kona on as members of this group for their insights. This group is designed to work with the seraphim of our planet and other helpers to build the correct spiritual fabric for the development and the reformation of our social institutions. Without going into a lot of detail about the damage that has been done in our social institutions, I want to just underscore the fact that our institutions have been operating a lot in an attitude of competition, dog eat dog, ego posturing, that one person is hierarchical, what you might say, authority over another person. And that is not the nature of how our social institutions need to be reformed. We are all equal in the eyes of God, and we all have gifts to share. And going back to that soul-to-soul collaboration, what we are doing in our group is we are connecting at that soul level so that each one of us is operating and sharing something of our own insights so that the planetary seraphim can use and bring in those values and those spiritual dynamics to underpin the spiritual fabric that will help our social institutions evolve into higher values of cooperation, tolerance, patience, equality, and fairness. This is not something that we have on the planet in our social institutions pervasively. There are pockets that are growing, but we have not it has not been pervasive yet. And so this is another level of correction that needs to be conducted. And this is going to take not a few years, but many years to complete the objectives of how we need to get back to the way our society should function according to the divine plans of evolution. So I'll just stop there and invite Teresa and Kona to share their insights in working in this group. So which one of you lovely ladies would like to begin first?
Well, I have Teresa up here, and since I'm hosting and you hear me way too much, Teresa, you tell us, you get a lot of insight when we're with Donna in this group, and then I'll be happy to fill in the gaps of whatever I feel like maybe else needs to be said. So please go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this being in these spiritual collaborations has really enriched my life and helped me to have much more of a connection, I think, to our celestial and angelic guides that we work with. And I I think as you're reading this particular slide, one of the key issues that seems to be coming up in our sessions a lot is the relationship between the male and female, and how the matriarchy, patriarchy has been in such um, a lot of conflict, and trying to establish harmony on that very very basic level. The social institutions group is on the most basic level of our social institutions is, of course, our families, and the kind of the marriage relationship between the men and women, but not just in marriage, but how are we dealing with each other as men, our particular gifts as men and women. And that's been something really important, um, that's being worked on right now and outworked. But I also want to say that each one of us in these sessions, definitely we bring our own, not only our own gifts, but our own kind of interests in this. I have a particular interest in uplifting the religious consciousness of the planet. I wrote a document entitled A Spiritual Bill of Rights for Humanity about a year ago, which outlines 7 rights for people to experience their own unique relationship with the Creator. And so that's something that really is important for me in these sessions, but it really um, I'm trying to think of the words. We all bring our different gifts and our different interests to this, and it's in cooperating with our angelic and divine celestial counterparts in these sessions, um, uh, that brings so much to us. Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, you could try as a group to pray for the different institutions of the world. Okay, we're going to pray for our religious leaders, our government leaders, our families. But if you're doing that just on a human level, you block yourself off, I think, from the our divine inheritance of being able to communicate with our celestial guides. And that's why I think these sessions are so important and so amazing and so special, is because that's what we're doing here. And I think because I feel in the sessions that our celestial guides actually need us. They need their human counterparts to come in and ground these new realizations, these new awarenesses that we're having in healing these particular parts of our social institutions and the natural world and personal healing. Because, if they can't ground these new energies on the planet, then it's just not going to happen. So it's a cooperation, it's a collaboration between, the celestial intelligence and each one of us women here. And I think that's why it's so important to do these in the way that I think we're trying to do it. So that's mostly what I wanted to say.
Well, thank you for that, Bonnie. And you and I work with Donna together. And what I hear you saying is prayer on the human level reaches maybe right here. But when you have the knowledge of the celestials and you're interacting, then we're in a whole different space. We're our mindal patterns are connecting with the mindal patterns of the planet and the celestials that we work with. We're given this greater perspective on how to open up what we're learning and how to bring it down into the planet. And that's what I experience with you guys in this, with the social institutions. And I love that you brought up your spiritual bill of rights. And I will just tell our audience that the spiritual bill of rights is on Donna's website as well as yours. And remind us, Teresa, where we can see that on your website.
Right. Well, you can go to my website is spiritualbor.org, as in Bill of Rights, spiritual BOR, and you can read all about it there. And there's also a YouTube channel that is on the website that you can connect to. And that's something that I felt inspired to do about a year ago, and I'm trying to bring that message to people.
And
So,
that's your connection. You were called
mhm,
to work with the social institutions similar to what I'm doing, and I work with the Center for Planetary Management, and
right,
I've been called for worked in education and seen, that education needs reform, and worked in the illegal industry, and the legal industry needs reform. All of our institutions need reform, but as you said at the very beginning, it starts with the family, and then that starts with us. And so that brings us full circle where we're doing the personal healing, then the natural healing, and then the institutional, but we circle back to, what humanity needs, because the core is first us and our families. And our families is an institution as well.
right. That's really important, Kona. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your insight. I'm going to bring Donna back up to see if she has more words for us on this.
Thank you, ladies. I'm so grateful for your participation in the group. These are two mighty, powerful spiritual ladies here, and their energies are really, really adding some vitality. And I just want to explain to people that we live in a planetary level of consciousness that is full of erroneous ideas and ideals, belief systems that attach to how we think and how we feel. What we are doing in these groups is adding more spiritual illumination to detach human consciousness from these false forms. So when we are collaborating in these groups with the variety of celestial personalities, they are actually weaving in the correct way in which we should relate to this information. And they are helping us untether how we think and feel from the memory dynamics in our minds and bodies, so that we have greater receptivity to divine truth, goodness, and love. And that what that does, it liberates the human mind from fear, from deeply, deeply embedded fear, so that we are not beholden to what you might call propaganda from a planetary culture that still wants to control human thinking and interfere with our natural God-given abilities, which is something we have to face right now through various influencers on the planet who want to take us away from our natural intelligence. So I want to underscore how important it is for humanity to take back your natural intelligence and to think about what we are doing here at the ICC, and to also inquire with me if this is something that you want to also participate in. Our group is growing. It's by no means complete, and we welcome new people to join us. Now, the only other thing I want to mention before we move into questions from our viewing audience is that in doing this type of work, you are becoming more spiritually powerful of the potential that is given to you by our Creator to collaborate at this level so that you are growing more in your own divine nature and the purposes for which you have been placed here on the planet at this time. And I can't underscore how important it is for people to take back their divine inheritance and to learn these ways of collaborating with our helpers, because this is the spiritual foundation of the planetary rehabilitation that is underway. And once the spiritual foundation is so integrated on the planet, then human mind will be liberated from fear, will be liberated from over control, and we will be able to co-create together as souls and build this planet into a heavenly culture that reflects the divine values of all life. So I just want to reiterate that. And thank you, ladies, for being here, for sharing your gifts. And I'm so grateful to each one of you for what you are bringing forth in our collaborations. It's very meaningful to me to collaborate with all of you. And I just thank you and share my love with you. So now, any questions or discussion from our beautiful viewing audience?
If you have questions, just raise your hand. If you have another point, Aaron, you're unmuted. So if you have something to say, because I know you can't raise your hand since you're on the telephone, just give us a heads up, a thumbs up, and I'll be happy to make sure that you're unmuted and you can join us here in the conversation. Anyone? Bob, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I just want to say there's only a couple of us guys here, but how do we fit in with the women's core? I mean, I think your work is fantastic, and I like to support it in ways that I can.
Well, we do have room for our brothers. Currently, in two of the groups, we have two gentlemen collaborating with us, and we have found that when we added the men, that they have a very anchoring role to play in the groups. So actually, we have an opening for the social reform group for a dear brother to join us. So if you're interested, you and I can chat about that at another time and see if that would be something that you're interested in participating. We meet once a month, and we just continue. It's kind of like we have a standing appointment to meet once a month. And so if that's something you're interested in, we'd love to have you. We need a gentleman or one or two to help us with these groups.
And Bob, you bring up a
Thank you.
really great point that I don't think that we talked about. We do have the women's core, but you also have a men's core, Donna, that meets on a regular basis. The men's,
Well,
more or less.
the men's core has undergone some changes, and unfortunately, they have recently kind of moved in a different direction. They're mostly just now going to participate with the women's core,
Okay.
but I'm still holding the men's core in a potential that it may regroup and reform at another time. But to be quite honest with you, for some men, this has been a challenging dynamic for them to engage in, because it's meditative, it's experiential, and it's not really going into that logical teaching mode. It's going into receiving spiritual energy. And so women have had a little bit of a leg up on that experience wise. So, but we definitely want to have more men learn this, because men need to heal men, and when men who are healed hold that energetic charge in their souls, they can help other men heal their souls. And that was the intention of the men's group. And I'm hopeful that we can continue to develop that in time. So.
But
That's
it's
kind of where
important to note that the men are not left out in this plan of recreating the planet. It's absolutely for men and women. And you started a women's core, but Jesus had both the women's disciples around him. He had the men's disciples. They played similar but different roles. And we've been focusing today on the Women's Corps and the role of the Women's Corps, but the men are very much included. So if you're watching this program, please know, if gentlemen, you are also welcome to participate in the healing of the planet and just reach down deep in Mother Spirit. Christ Michael, love you just as much as they love the women and want everybody to participate in the healing of the planet, the healing of the earth, the healing of ourselves, and the healing of our social institutions. So no one is left out of this process. Any final words,
Exactly.
Donna? I think on your PowerPoint you had one last page I want to bring to people's
Yes.
attention. Go ahead.
Yes. So just some resources. Of course, the book, The Women Who Love Jesus, that talks more about the soul-to-soul communication, the Arancha book paper 150 on the evangelistic corps that Jesus commissioned. But you can also explore our webpage on the website of our ICC Women's Corps, especially if there are some women who are interested in joining us. So that's an additional way to get a little bit more information. So any more comments or questions? I would like to do a brief meditation. I know we're a little bit over an hour, but it would be interesting to just hold a space for the viewers to perceive that energy of like the combined three groups and send that into the planet, because of course, we can never have too much spiritual energy operating at this
Sure,
time.
let's do that, and then we'll have closing remarks after the meditation, and just get people connected because you've had updates to your website. I want to make sure people know about things like that, and but we can talk about that after your meditation.
So just take a few moments to turn within into your heart. Mother and Father, we gather here today to learn more about the ways that we can collaborate with all of our wonderful planetary helpers, our universe brothers and sisters, who are bringing in these higher circuits of information to weave into the planet to foster our true planetary rehabilitation. We are so grateful to participate as human collaborators in our own unique ways. So we just lift this intention up that more spiritual energy filter through the three groups: personal healing, humanity's relationship with the natural world and our social institutions, and just add more spiritual vitality into the places where there is great need for rehabilitation and reformation. We hold that intention now, and we invite all of the helpers to do what they can do at their end and add more light and space, truth and goodness and beauty into what is the planet is needing, what human mind needs, what all life here needs. And we just hold this for a few moments for the furtherance of this intention. Thank you. As we hold this focus, the words I'm seeing coming through, pulsing on the planet, augment spiritual growth. It's a field of energy composed of many different elements, and it's just weaving throughout the planet, going into different areas, different dimensional levels. But it is a very vibrant form, so that what is already here of spiritual vitality can be heightened, expanded, deepened for what it is here to do, to take deeper root, breadth and height on the planet. There is an image in my mind's eye of what you might call thought form threads that have been, the word I'm getting is dislocated in the system of planetary consciousness. And there is an action underway to bring those dislocated thought threads back into a greater bandwidth of spiritual coherence. And so these are some of the ways that these circuitry corrections are conducted. The erroneous influences of memory energy or thought energy is opened and brought back into the fold so that there is more access to universal truth, and the human mind is able to access this with better direct awareness rather than having so much static interference within the mind levels of activity. So a lot of the dislocation is now being repaired at different levels. And this is the power of us holding space. We are giving permission. We are saying to our helpers, we want these aspects of planetary life corrected. And we are giving the willingness for this to be done. And that is what they need. They need our willingness, because we have the ability to choose. And when we step up and say, it is our choice for these actions to occur, then they can make it a living reality on the planet. And so we invite our helpers to continue to integrate these higher dynamics into the planet after we leave the meditation. But know that we can return to this place at any moment during our day. Take a few moments of spiritual receptivity and reflection and just ask for more planetary correction to be conducted in the areas of need or in the area that you wish to see be rehabilitated and healed. Take back your spiritual power because it is given to you freely, and it is up to us to learn how to wield that with grace and love and our willingness for the divine plan to gain more strength and stature on the planet. Mother and Father, we thank you for these brief moments of collaboration together, and we ask that our helpers continue to assist in this integration and bring us back into a state of harmony with life, with our bodies, and with our social institutions that are underway in being reformed. And we thank everyone who participated. And I thank my brothers and sisters for joining me on this presentation. Thank you so much. Gently return to the room you're in and come back to normal consciousness. Well, that completes our presentation for today. I am almost ready to announce the new look of the Institute of Christ Consciousness website. We recently moved to a new platform and we have a few little tweaks to make. And then I will send out the general announcement, but feel free to check it out now because it's, I'd say, 98% ready. And you'll see that it is easier to see our offerings, our video presentations. The navigation is so much easier. We've got more visuals. I'm so happy with the way it turned out, and I'm deeply grateful for this new look that I hope will be more attractive to reach more people who are interested in what we're doing in this great time of planetary rehabilitation. Any final closing comments from any of our attendees?
Sorry, I gave that spoiler on the website. I'm so excited about it too.
Yeah.
I don't see any hands up. So it looks like we're about ready to close out. Donna, what a wonderful presentation today on the Women's Core. And I do just want to take us back and let people see one last time the Women Who Love Jesus, available through the Institute of Christ Consciousness. It tells you about the Women's Core that worked with Jesus. It's their stories. Donna has a wonderful relationship with these women. So please check this out. It's available either on the website. It's also available through Amazon. And thank you, Donna. Appreciate you. I love working with you. Thank you for this presentation today. I'm just going to close us out here. As a reminder, we've been with Donna D'Angelo with the Institute of Christ Consciousness. You can reach her at the website and on the page, Donna at institutechristconsciousness.org. I'm Conalisa Mahu with Lighthouse News and Notes, bringing you this presentation with Donna. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and she'll have more to share then. So thank you for being with us. And if you're seeing this for the first time and you weren't with us in the audience, you can still reach out to Donna, become a part of the Institute of Christ Consciousness. And also, this programming is made possible through the generous donation of the donors to the Institute of Christ Consciousness. So we want to give you our gratitude. And if you would like to participate in furthering this ministry, you can make donations through her website, institutechristconsciousness.org. Thank you again for being with us. Thank you, Donna, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.